In the year 356 BCE, in the ancient kingdom of Macedon, a child was born who would change the destiny of the known world forever. His name was Alexander. From the moment of his birth, legends surrounded him. His mother, Olympias, believed that her son was destined for greatness, claiming that he was descended from the heroic bloodline of Achilles, the legendary warrior of the Trojan War. Some stories even whispered that Zeus himself was Alexander's true father. Whether myth or belief, these stories shaped Alexander's identity from childhood, convincing him that he was meant for something far greater than an ordinary life. Alexander was raised in the royal court of Pella, where power, ambition, and war were part of everyday life. His father, King Philip II of Macedon, was one of the greatest military reformers of the ancient world. Philip transformed Macedon from a weak kingdom into a dominant military force by creating a professional army armed with long spears called sarissas and trained in disciplined formations. Alexander grew up watching his father plan campaigns, negotiate alliances, and crush enemies. From an early age, he learned that leadership was earned through strength, intelligence, and courage. When Alexander was only 13 years old, his education was entrusted to one of the greatest minds in history, the philosopher Aristotle. Under Aristotle's guidance, Alexander studied philosophy, science, politics, medicine, and literature. He developed a deep love for Homer's Iliad and carried a copy of it with him for the rest of his life, seeing himself as a new Achilles destined for eternal glory. Aristotle also taught Alexander respect for Greek culture and the idea that Greeks were superior to the so-called barbarian world, a belief that would later influence his conquests. Alexander's courage became evident early in life. One famous story tells of a wild horse named Bucephalus that no one could tame. While others failed, young Alexander noticed the horse was afraid of its own shadow. Turning the horse toward the sun, Alexander calmed and mounted it successfully. His father, witnessing this, reportedly told him to seek a kingdom worthy of him, for Macedon was too small. Bucephalus would later carry Alexander across battlefields from Greece to India. At the age of 20, Alexander's life changed forever. King Philip II was assassinated under mysterious circumstances during a public celebration. In an instant, Alexander became king of Macedon. Many believed he was too young to rule, and revolts broke out across Greece. Instead of hesitation, Alexander responded with speed and brutality. He crushed rebellions, destroyed the city of Thebes, and sent a clear message that his authority would not be questioned. Greece was forced into submission, and Alexander turned his eyes toward a far greater prize. That prize was the mighty Persian Empire, the largest and richest empire the world had ever seen. Persia controlled vast lands stretching from Asia Minor to India, ruled by King Darius III. In 334 BCE, Alexander crossed the Hellespont with an army of around 40,000 men. Though vastly outnumbered, Alexander believed speed, discipline, and leadership would overcome Persian wealth and numbers. He symbolically threw a spear into Asian soil, declaring the continent won by conquest. Alexander's first major battle against Persia took place at the Granicus River. Leading from the front, Alexander charged directly into enemy forces, narrowly escaping death. His courage inspired his troops, and the Persians were defeated. City after city fell as Alexander marched through Asia Minor, freeing Greek cities and claiming Persian territories. His reputation grew rapidly, and many began to see him as invincible. The decisive confrontation came at the Battle of Issus in 333 BCE. Facing King Darius III himself, Alexander again led a bold charge directly toward the Persian king. Despite being heavily outnumbered, Alexander's tactical brilliance shattered the Persian army. Darius fled the battlefield, abandoning his family, wealth, and throne. Alexander treated Darius's captured family with respect, a move that shocked the ancient world and strengthened his image as both conqueror and king. Rather than pursuing Darius immediately, Alexander turned south toward the Mediterranean coast to destroy Persian naval power. He captured cities one by one, facing fierce resistance at Tyre. The siege of Tyre lasted 7 months and demonstrated Alexander's relentless determination. After the city finally fell, Alexander ordered brutal punishment, a reminder that mercy was not guaranteed. His march continued into Egypt, where he was welcomed as a liberator rather than a conqueror. In Egypt, Alexander founded the city of Alexandria, which would become one of the greatest centers of learning and culture in the ancient world. He also traveled to the Oracle of Siwa, where priests proclaimed him the son of a god. Whether Alexander truly believed this or used it to strengthen his authority, his sense of destiny only grew stronger. He now saw himself not just as a king, but as a divine ruler chosen to unite the world.
By the will of the gods, I will unite this world. All who stand against us shall fall.
Alexander returned east to confront Darius once and for all. The final battle took place at Gaugamela in 331 BCE. Once again, Alexander faced overwhelming numbers, but his strategy and leadership proved decisive. The Persian army collapsed, and Darius fled yet again, only to be later betrayed and killed by his own men. With Darius dead, Alexander declared himself king of Asia, inheriting the Persian Empire and its immense wealth.
I am now the king of Asia, inheriting the Persian Empire and its immense wealth.
As ruler of the largest empire the world had ever known, Alexander faced a new challenge: how to govern it. Rather than destroying Persian culture, he adopted many of its customs, wearing Persian dress and encouraging intermarriage between Greeks and Persians. He married Persian women and promoted unity between East and West. This policy angered many of his Macedonian soldiers, who felt betrayed by his embrace of foreign traditions. Tensions grew within his army, but Alexander's authority remained absolute. Alexander's ambition did not stop with Persia. Driven by a desire to reach the edge of the world, he marched east into Central Asia and India. These campaigns were among the hardest of his career. The terrain was harsh, enemies fought fiercely, and his army grew exhausted. At the Battle of the Hydaspes River, Alexander faced King Porus, whose army included war elephants. Despite the odds, Alexander emerged victorious, once again proving his military genius. However, by this point, Alexander's soldiers had reached their limit. After years of constant warfare, they refused to march any further east. For the first time in his life, Alexander was forced to turn back. The return journey was brutal, especially the march through the Gradrosian desert, where thousands died from heat and starvation. The the cost of Alexander's ambition became painfully clear. In 323 BCE, while in Babylon planning new campaigns, Alexander fell ill. After days of suffering, he died at the age of 32. The cause of his death remains debated, with theories ranging from illness to poisoning. When asked who should inherit his empire, Alexander reportedly said,
"Strongest among you."
With no clear successor, his empire quickly fractured as his generals fought for power. Although his empire did not survive him, Alexander's impact on history was permanent. His conquests spread Greek language, culture, and ideas across 3 continents, creating a new era known as the Hellenistic Age. Cities he founded became centers of trade, learning, and innovation. The blending of cultures reshaped the ancient world and influenced civilizations for centuries to come. Alexander the Great remains one of history's most fascinating figures. He was a brilliant general, a visionary ruler, and a man consumed by ambition. He inspired loyalty, fear, and devotion in equal measure. In just 13 years of rule, he changed the course of human history forever. His name would echo through time as the man who conquered the ancient world, not just with his sword, but with an unbreakable belief in his destiny.
Subscribe to Forgotten Thrones to uncover the rise, fall, and secrets of ancient civilizations.